You're listening to Full Wales, See Wales, the podcast about Wales and Welsh politics. If you want to be more informed about Wales and everything that goes on here, keep listening after this. My tour starts in 2 months, but that's not the point I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
I'm self-producing it this year, so I am sending posters to venues. I am sometimes driving to venues on the way to other gigs with like posters of pictures of my face in the back of the car.
That's a weird feeling,
Which is weird. I don't want to be pulled over, just with loads of like me, like if I open the windows, they just sort of blur around and stick to the window. It's dreadful. But also like doing like paid advertising and stuff. It's a bit of a minefield to do on your own, I think. That's what I'm finding at the moment. Like I'm trying to sort of find people to sort of help me with it.
Is there anybody really that comes to mind that could maybe get eyes on your tour?
Well, I enjoyed your posters in the Cardiff Central train station, which I walked past and posed by. I sort of just like
always enjoyed them.
Yeah,
Who helped you with those?
So that was facilitated for me by Hello Starling, who are media planning and buyers. So they are really good at working out what your target market is and putting you in front of them. So that could be anything from train station adverts, Facebook ads within news articles. There's just, if there's anywhere that you can advertise, they know how to get you there. They know how to get it and plan it, and they know how to do it in a way that gets measurable results.
It's not just the Wales tour, that's the UK. So
no, they do stuff not just in Wales. They're a proudly Welsh company, but they've got clients all over the UK.
Okay.
We need to get in touch.
Well, maybe I will. Maybe I'll try and get a bit of a cheeky discount.
Give it the old hello, Starling.
Hello, Starling.
How would Robin get in touch with them?
You would go to hellostarling.com. That's hellostarling.com.
One more time, please.
Hellostarling.com.
I've got a pen. Hello and welcome to another For Wales, See Wales. I'm Robin Morgan.
I'm Mel Owen.
I'm Will Hayward.
How are we doing? We are back in the same room.
Yes, I like it. I like seeing the whites of your eyes.
Yeah. It's nice to see peripherals.
Yes, exactly.
On either side of you. This is.
It was very narrow, wasn't it?
It was narrow. I enjoyed it. That we're fresh off the back of our first ever emergency, not IRL pod.
Yeah, but I think it was worth doing.
It was great.
I mean, I didn't even, this is so geeky. I didn't need to set my alarm because I was so excited. Genuinely.
Did you wake up like Christmas?
Yeah, genuinely. I was like, can I get up now?
Has he been?
Which one has been?
Yeah.
That was the question.
Has he been and gone? Fraj has been and gone. He's out of Wales.
He's in a car on the way back to Clacton.
Yeah. Well, you might say, but now he can fuck off home.
Well, did you? Yeah, I mean, you obviously saw this. We all saw this.
I did see it.
Shall we get into it?
I think so.
So, actually, our last episode was our most listened to episode ever. It replaced the Senev episode as our most listened to one.
Wow. What does that say? That people hate this studio?
We want nothing to do with Hey Man. We want them at home at 6. We want Will to be torturously tired.
Yeah. I think people did enjoy that.
Yeah, they want Robin pissing in the middle for no good reason.
Yeah, pissing like a horse.
But also, I do, as good as we were, I think that Caerphilly might have had something to do with it.
Maybe.
Fine.
Yeah.
Content makes content. Now, before we go any further, we need to say we are not condoning graffiti or vandalism.
Will isn't.
I've still got paint on my hands.
But
no, you are right.
did you guys see what was written on the shutters of the Reform UK office in Caerphilly the day after they lost the by-election?
I've only seen a screenshot of it. I couldn't quote the actual the actual poetry. What was it?
The haiku. Read us the haiku.
Now you can. Fuck off. Home. Context behind it. Reform ran a very aggressively immigration-focused campaign in Caerphilly. And a lot of that was about how, Caerphilly's full, even though less than 3% of people are from overseas. And that mantra of, right, you need to go back to your own country, you need to go home. No Reform politician said that, but it was a mentality I think people felt they were tapping into. And
somebody took that into consideration when considering what to say to Llŷr having lost the election.
So I did a video on this pretty early on, and the traffic this got, it really resonated with people. And I think it's not just because it is fundamentally, it's quite clever, isn't it? It's quite a funny response.
It is.
What I thought was quite telling about it is that idea that Reform are not Wales. A significant part of the Plaid Cymru vote was a rejection of Reform. I think what Plaid will be really determined to do going into the next Senedd election is put forward that thing of, these guys are trying to take over Wales. We don't want that. We are the bulwark against that. And I can see that being something that would resonate with people.
Do you think that Reform will try and change that tack then? You know, like we've talked about them not having a Welsh party leader. Leo Powell obviously is a Caerphilly resident. I'm not sure if he was born in Caerphilly, but, you know, has family in the area, right? Like he could have gone into that by-election going, well, this is my vision for Wales. I am the Welsh Reform guy.
He's a Welsh speaker.
Yeah.
I think that really kind of epitomised how Reform are seen as Nigel Farage's party.
Yeah.
The coverage was crazy. The amount of people who were focusing on Caerphilly, I was getting booked like I never get booked. Part of it is that idea of Reform are beatable. I think everyone felt like, and Reform put forward that they're this unstoppable grassroots juggernaut that is just going to steamroll over everything. They're going to win. Nigel Farage going straight to Downing Street. And now what I think this symbolised is, although, I mean, more than a third of people in Caerphilly voted for them. Well, more than a third of people who voted for them. I think it showed that they are not, they are eminently beatable with the right campaign and the right messaging.
Well, it's interesting, on day of record, and when I was on my drive in, it was like breaking news. Keir Starmer actually talks out about, what's her name? I hope you know, Sarah Potting? The one who's basically from Reform, who has said that she's sick of all the brown people in adverts.
Right.
Yeah, she hates seeing non-white people in adverts.
Yes. And Keir Starmer literally, as I was driving in, came out and was like, I've got to call it what it is, which is racism. Even Nigel Farage also thinks it's racism and is showing no leadership by not removing her. And it's really interesting that Keir Starmer is almost also starting to see that you don't have to out-reform. You can actually stand up against it and say, I don't agree with that. I'm not saying that Caerphilly was the shift that Keir Starmer needed, but it feels like there is a general realisation across the parties now that, you know, you don't need to be Reform to win. They can be beaten.
They can be beaten by being very clear in your own message and painting a different option, as opposed to a slightly different shading on the Reform option.
Like there's no point doing the Welsh Conservative thing. There's no point doing the UK Westminster Conservative thing. Like you'll just seem like a pale imitation. So yeah, I suppose, you know, and I think voters on the sort of the centre and the left in Caerphilly clearly resonated with this anti-Reform vote. Obviously, with a new different system, Reform will get a ton of seats with that turnout, won't they? Yeah. In May, they'll get a real ton of seats. But I suppose it's it'd be interesting to see what kind of campaign they run on a national level.
To both of you, really, do you think it would be a good idea for them to snatch Lear again in Caerphilly?
Oh, in the same. So what's the
in May kind of?
What's the constituency changing into?
Blaenau Gwent, Caerphilly, Rumney, and they actually made a point. I think it was Tulare Glyn-Jones from the BBC. She interviewed Lindsay Whittle after he won, and he said, I'm looking forward to running again. You know, I'm being on the list for Caerphilly, Blaenau Gwent, Rumney. When actually he put Caerphilly at the start of the constituency, when actually it's Blaenau Gwent.
Yeah, sure.
But he was like, he's so Mr. Caerphilly.
Yeah, exactly.
I think on the day he's probably allowed to think about Caerphilly for a few more minutes, right? He's still allowed to have that victory lap. Yeah,
so do you think they'll stand clear again?
I mean, on social media, it seemed like that was certainly their plan, you know, sort of like a lot of Reform bods were saying, you know, this is a great thing to build on. He'll run again.
It would seem silly not to, right?
We'll learn a lot. You know, if they can build on that level of turnout, I mean, it's a couple of thousand votes.
I mean, if Reform get 36% of the vote in May in that constituency, obviously the constituency will be bigger.
Sure.
But if they get that much of the vote, their first person on the list will easily get a seat. Probably their second one as well.
In terms of other, I mean, it'd be interesting when they announce their candidate list. Where are we with all the other parties announcing theirs?
Okay, so Plaid Cymru, they're done.
Yeah.
We know
they did that 10 years ago. It's wild.
Who is it? Let's remind us.
They did it at the dawn of devolution.
Owen Glendour foresaw all of this.
So they did that in the summer. So people are already out campaigning. They're already trying to get face recognition, going like, I'm going to be standing here. Labour still haven't announced. They've got shortlists now, but we don't know the order. We don't know who from that shortlist, because what they have is 8 candidates, and they'll do a list. And the top 6 will go forward as the candidates. The other 2 are like backups.
Sure.
But this is to elect now the order of the list, and that is like everything, because being top of a list, well, if we get the results that we got in Caerphilly, top of the list doesn't guarantee Labour a seat.
Yeah, sure.
But
there's a lot of pressure now to be top of that list because, like in a different era, second or third, you're okay.
Yeah.
But like you gotta be rooting for number 1.
Yeah.
You'd feel gutted to be a backup though, wouldn't you?
Oh God, you feel like the Michelle of the group.
I've been standby for telly panel shows before. You have to do all the prep and stay within an hour of the studio in case they call you up, and you're just there in the car like, oh, I had a really good zinger for that, and then you're like, okay, drive home then. Bizarre.
Is that why you ran over Ross Noble that time?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm coming for you, Noble. Shots fired.
Oh, that is rough.
Yeah.
That is rough.
So you don't want to be a backup.
Going back to the graffiti.
Yes.
On the one hand, like you said, none of us here sat here condoning graffiti, vandalism, etc.
Yeah.
Obviously, got to say that. What I struggle with is you cannot make people feel intimidated and unsafe from their own town and then cry when there's a bit of paint on your door.
Interesting, yeah, because I've seen a lot of the kickback of like, well, this is, and Cleo Powell mentioned, the fact that he's, had people like sort of what did he say, like rat-a-tat gingering his door or something, sort of like
So he said
intimidate. We talked about like safety within politics, and I think it's obviously if this was a different party who would run a different style of campaign,
it wouldn't.
It's I think context is really, really key here, and obviously it goes without saying the sort of like people should feel safe when they are campaigning in politics.
Yeah.
As you say, if you are making other people feel unsafe, if you dish out a certain kind of rhetoric, you can't then go, well, this is the Antifa left-wing mob who are graffitiing.
Exactly. It's like saying, I'm sick of people complaining about feelings and all this, that and the other until it now hurts me.
Sure, yeah.
And one thing that really wound me up during the campaign, and I think he said it quite a lot, was just name calling, isn't it? You'd see in clips, somebody be like, I think that person's a fascist.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd be like, well, it's just name calling.
I'm here for a debate.
Yeah. Well, you're not, because when somebody tries to hold you accountable, you sulk.
It was a sulk. It was an eye roll and a sulk.
It's name calling would be somebody calling him an arrogant prick. Like that would be name calling. Somebody pointing out that your politics errs to the right, and quite factually, it's kind of just holding you to account. I don't think you can cry. But, it's... I'm struggling to feel sorry for them.
I think when things move towards somebody's like personal like property and like where they live, that would be really, really terrifying. You would never want to see that. I think what politicians do have a responsibility for, and I absolutely include reform in this, is controlling the temperature of debate. And reform relentlessly since their inception, their previous inceptions as Brexit Party, UKIP, they have been. It's been very expedient for them to keep the temperature high.
Yeah.
And I would genuinely I've met Cleo Powell lots of times. I've interviewed him. Got no personal animosity to him at all, and I feel really sorry for the guy if that's what I've experienced. But the way reform campaign is, it doesn't promote, and you can talk about, as you say, we just want to have debate, we want to have meaningful debate. Well, there's different ways to have debate, isn't there? When you have policies which, whether you think they are or not, ultimately turn people against their neighbours. You can see how we've got to this point, and they're a contributing factor to that point.
If it's expedient for them to keep the temperature high, you can't cry when you get burned.
I think it shows that words do matter, don't they? Like this stuff does, within sort of comedy, there's a big old like, oh, it's free speech, it's free speech. It's just words. But, there is free speech, but there's also like, it's not freedom of consequence. No, it's, to quote Jamie Vardy, chat shit, get banged. Like, I think,
Exactly.
The idea of just having a debate, that in theory, 100% what we should be doing. We've talked about how, there's been listener questions of, should we engage with people across the political divide? 100% we should. This is how grown-ups have conversations. This is how democracies get better. It's you have people from differing views, therefore the full range of the population can be heard and listened to.
I think it's tricky, isn't it? Because ultimately in the last 10 years, 2 MPs have been murdered.
Yeah.
There is clearly real and present threats to especially female politicians. Like some of the stuff that some of the women in the Senate get is absolutely revolting. Like really, really disgusting. Like I get a lot of stick, but it's nothing compared to what they get. Do you know who's even less equipped to deal with that sort of stuff? Random asylum seekers who've been given leave to remain here and alienated by politicians. People like that woman at the debate in Caerphilly who says, I don't like my mixed race children going out because I worry about them. They are even in a worse position than politicians who have security and have much more comprehensive support networks around them. So ultimately, I think the best thing we can all do is, try and keep that temperature lower. Can I tell you about something that's even more humorous?
Go on.
I found an event on Eventbrite. So we're recording this on Monday the 27th, but on Saturday the 25th, so 2 days ago, the day after we got the results for Caerphilly, there was an event called Newport and Isloyne Countdown to Victory event.
Okay.
Now this was the Newport and Isloyne branch of Reform. We're thrilled to invite you to an exclusive afternoon with Lee Anderson, Laura Ann Jones MS, and other guest speakers. And this was titled Countdown to Victory event. Do you want to know? So it was from 2:00 till 6 p.m. The speakers, it was an elite group. We got Lee Anderson, keynote.
Yeah.
Laura Ann Jones, Councillor Stuart Keat from Torvine.
Well, the big guns then.
Yeah, we've got Councillor David Thomas, who is the one you could hear shouting on that leaked internal meeting we talked about a few months ago.
Fondly.
And you've got Claire Powell, who I can't imagine was delighted to have to go to that. So
what? It still took place?
I have seen photos from Lee Anderson on Twitter. Can I have a look now?
Yeah.
At an event, he was like, I'm back in Wales. And it basically looked like a little, it was a thank you to all the people in Wales who've been campaigning so hard over the last few months. I literally saw this earlier.
Well, they quickly changed that banner, didn't they? From Countdown to Victory to thank you.
Back in Wales. Today I'm back in Wales to thank our brilliant campaign team for the hard work and dedication over the past few months. We didn't win the by-election, but we won the hearts and minds of over 12,000 people in Caerphilly. Watch out for us next May in Wales. Things can only get better. And then obviously there's them, what's the Wales flag?
It's a nice little marquee.
It doesn't look massively attended, does it?
The fair play, the bunting is great. You know,
all Union Jacks.
Yeah.
Is there a Welsh flag on there?
Yeah, there is. There's one big one.
Oh, fair play.
Well, no, we don't know that's there.
No, we haven't.
That has Getty Images really.
Yeah, like you say, it doesn't exactly look like Coldplay at the O2, in all fairness, but it is, it is a political event. I'm just trying to. Oh, they've got some mugs there and some rosettes.
Do you know what? They also had a small number of VIP tickets available, which include admission to the event. Hopefully, and priority seating in the front row and an evening meal with Lee Anderson.
Wow.
At Bryn Meadows Golf Club in Ashrammunach.
How much were tickets?
I now can't see it. As I recall, in my very tired state when I was looking at it, I think it was 75 quid.
They're raising money. They got a campaign to fight.
This is what good businesses do. They raise money, for their shareholders.
And there will be people who genuinely, as sarky as I'm being, there will be people who would be selling their nan for dinner with Lee Anderson.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like when you went to the conference, or was it the conference, the sort of the launch event?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot of supporters there, right? Like people want to buy the merch, people want to feel part of something, and that's what they're feeling part of. How
bad was Caerphilly really for Reform? Because actually, I think the reason we see it as such a big loss is because they were so sure they were winning. Sure. They were convinced they were going to win.
The narrative shifted completely,
if they hadn't had that mentality, I think two things would have happened. I think firstly, I think they might have had a better chance of winning if they hadn't made it seem like they were going to win. Because I think because they were so clearly like Reform flags everywhere, Farage there all the time, I think it solidified the opposition to Reform to vote against them. But I also think if they hadn't done that, even if they'd come second, I mean, they got over a third of the vote. I mean, they did well by, in a proportional system, they've done really well.
Well, yeah, I said this in the morning, to think that Labour piled so far behind them. We'd be mistaken to consider this a failure for reform.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I think they'll continue the momentum, and I think they'll use this as a boost. Robin, something you said a few weeks ago I thought was so interesting about how Plaid not winning could have actually been more helpful for them overall in the Senedd election. I think the same could be true for reform.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Like, I think Plaid will take this and run as their mandate, right? Like, people want change and we are the change. That's going to be their narrative going into this now. But yeah, reform could be, well, if you don't want the this left-wing nationalist...
The Welsh nationalists who want to break up the United Kingdom.
Yeah, then that's the... So I think it could really split into this Welsh versus British... there's certainly going to be a huge chunk of voters where that's what they're going for.
I really think that the stage is set now for that battle of... And I think it's epitomised by that graffiti, that now you can F off home.
Yeah.
That idea of you've got... two very competing visions for the future of Wales, very competing, like almost like how Wales is even viewed. And I'm not saying that if you don't support Welsh independence, you're a reform voter. Like I mean, I wouldn't come out and say I support Welsh independence. I don't think the argument's there.
Yeah, and I think Plaid are really trying to distance themselves from the independence angle anyway. So I mean,
but that is going to be interesting, isn't it? If Plaid can set this up as Labour are gone. Like, they're not even really seem to be targeting Labour with a lot of their messaging. They seem to be kind of saying, look at this threat that they are. We are the only alternative to them. That's a powerful message for both reform and for Plaid, isn't it?
Like you say, the graffiti saying, no, now you can fuck off home. Like, ultimately, here is home.
Yeah.
Here is home. I mean, that's ironic when they say it to people who've also been born in this country, but, I'll let that slide. I was thinking about this over the weekend, actually. I was thinking, how did Llŷr get here? Because, like you say, it only struck me that he speaks Welsh. He's called Llŷr, and how has he got to where he is politically? And then I think, I do get it because I've been there. Do you know what I mean? I had that element of feeling so rejected by Welsh culture that I became a Welsh incel. I did. When I say anything, I'm not saying he's an incel that he's going to, whatever. But, he's an incel towards Welsh culture is what I mean. I was there and I get it. And I think there are people who Plaid historically have made quite a lot of mistakes in terms of alienating certain elements of Welsh culture. And Welsh Wales does it in terms of we're proper Wales, the rest of you aren't. And I think if we see that, and we did see a bit of this in Caerphilly, of look, proper Welsh people actually came through, it's not going to help them. And I think it's going to cause even more division. It's
perfectly possible to be very, very proudly Welsh and vote reform. Doesn't mean, if you went to areas of the Valleys or Llanelli which are voting reform, people there will very clearly show that they are very passionately Welsh. They'll Six Nations Day, when they go abroad, they'll be introducing themselves as Welsh because that's what Welsh people tend to do when they're abroad, don't they? I think one of the most important things that needs to happen in Wales is creating a kind of a version of Welsh identity which is very... People are trying to pull in the same direction. There's not different versions of Wales. There's, for instance, Dennis Balsam. He had the 3 Wales model, where there was the Welsh-speaking heartland, Welsh Wales, which is English-speaking but identifies as Wales, and British Wales, which is English-speaking and identifying as British. Ultimately, that's all Wales. That's all. That everyone there who is within Wales and is a Welsh citizen that is what Wales is. And I think there's a balance between fighting for what you perceive to be identity and actually having the self-assurance of a nation to actually let's build on all of this and something together. And that's, I think, a massive challenge for Plaid, to put forward this vision where people who aren't traditional Plaid voters go, oh yeah, they're for me as well. And I think they could do it. And I think if they did it, that is an immensely powerful force. If they manage to, because Wales has in many ways been quite a divided nation, north-south, Welsh-speaking, English-speaking, and I think some of those barriers have dropped. I think some of them maybe are stronger. It's a very complicated thing, and the more I look into it, the more I'm like, oh my god, how am I remotely qualified to talk about this? That is a debate that is a fight that Plaid need to pick and win. Going forward.
Also, when you govern, having run on a platform of we are not this other party, I mean, it will alienate, potentially 30-odd% of Wales if you are governing then, and you are going, well, we are not you.
Yeah.
So then how do you then, you always see it after Westminster elections, like, we ran this campaign, but now I'm going to be I remember Rishi Sunak's one of like, I'm running, I'm a prime minister for all people. And you're like, okay.
As he says, he deliberately transferred money to conservative areas.
Yeah. So it's an interesting, to run on this platform.
I think what Plaid need to do with Reform voters is to say, we're not Reform, but we can be you, to voters. Like, distance himself from the party that is Reform. But, I mean, ultimately, like, people change which parties they vote for all the time, else every single election would be exactly the same. You can convince people, you can change people's mind, you can bring people along.
They have been quite similar in Wales, to be fair, for 25 years.
It is possible. It is.
As we've seen in the last week, it is possible.
Well, in the last, in Caerphilly in 2021, 46% of the people that voted for Labour. In the next one, 11% did. All of them might have stopped voting, and it might just be other people started voting. But some people must have changed their minds.
Yeah.
Will we ever find out those numbers? Like how many, like the turnout compared to previous years, and where those people went, and like
who do we ask?
Yeah.
Who do we commission?
People like the Wales Governance Centre and stuff like that, or like might have done something on it. It'll be based on like exit polls, stuff like that.
If they could get Shimmy on, I would enjoy that.
I would find that very interesting.
Okay. It's fair to say Caerphilly was very good for Plaid. It's fair to say it wasn't bad for Reform, ultimately. I think one thing that's getting missed here is that the official opposition in Wales got 2% of the vote. So let's talk about the Welsh Tory leader whose name escapes people. Robin, who is the leader of the Welsh Conservatives?
That is Darren Miller-Light.
And in just issuing that sentence, you know more than many members, seemingly, of the shadow cabinet of the Conservative Party, because they were on... the shadow Home Secretary was on GB News, and he was asked 6 times who the leader of the Welsh Conservatives was.
No.
My second
have you seen this?
Do it again. You need to go
You haven't seen this?
No.
It's awful.
I'll just ask a 5th time. Who's the leader of the Welsh Conservatives?
Look, I've explained that we've got a positive new programme.
If you don't know, you can say it's totally fine.
In the months and years ahead.
Just the 6th one.
We've got a relatively new leader, I'm afraid. I'm afraid the name escapes me.
I know, he's called Darren Miller, and that does matter because the party is disappearing rapidly into the sand of a Welsh beach. When will you start governing for the whole country? You're going back into your heartlands of England. Wales has now lost you, it seems, and next May...
Wow.
The best bit, I don't know if I clicked it where he said we've changed a leader recently. Did they say that?
Do it again.
Look, I've explained that we've got a positive new programme.
If you don't know, you can say it's totally fine.
In the months and years ahead.
The 6th one.
We've got a relatively new leader, and I'm afraid.
Okay, so we've got a relatively new leader. Darren Miller came in almost a year ago, 2024.
If you spent more time in this country... Sorry, I know it took one trip, but I haven't forgotten about it. Because
it's hard when he spent a lot of his time pretending to be the leader of another party. So why not carve your own fucking path in life? Like, look, it's brutal.
That is right. And it's embarrassing for that man as well, whose name I also don't know.
Chris Philp, which is so fucking annoying. Put another I in your surname, Philp. There's no 2 I's in Philp, it's just 1 I.
Robin Morgan.
Yeah, I know. Hate it. It really annoys me. Me.
I'd love to be Hay War.
Hey War.
You are on many days, to be fair. I mean, that is embarrassing for everybody involved. I feel embarrassed and it's not even my fault.
Yeah. After a pretty bruising Caerphilly by-election, I think their candidate, Gareth Potter.
What are you doing there, Potter?
Potter. Got
very
sorry. He got 650 votes or something. It was pretty.
So dire.
So I had a chat with Gareth Potter. Potter.
Sorry, Darren, can you get an umbrella? Is that all right? Thank you.
Sorry, I know people don't always enjoy the asides, but I watched an old Harry Potter recently.
Yeah.
And the amount of times in one of the films, I think it's the fourth one, that Malfoy just emerges from a tree.
Oh, yeah.
like Harry will be like walking along and suddenly Malfoy will like drop down from somewhere. But he must have just been in a tree, just like waiting to drop out and go, what are you doing there, Potter?
Potter? Someone worked out like how many minutes of the franchise he's in, and it's so few. And they got
Really?
Felton obviously like a
Well,
million
he's going
out
again
there.
now, so we'll get more.
Is he back in?
He's in
Is
the
he
new
playing
one.
Lucius in the HBO thing,
He's in the new
which no one wants? Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
I spoke to some Tories at the
Including who?
Mr. Potter.
Potter.
And I was talking to them and I had a little bit of a chat to them about the budget because, as we know, they are proposing maybe backing the budget, helping Eluned Morgan get a budget through in exchange for abolishing stamp duty. Now Eluned Morgan's going to really struggle to get the budget through, so she needs support of another party. Darren Miller, I think his name is. He said that he would have a conversation with her about it, and they've had some initial talks. And the key ask is that they will abolish stamp duty, which is obviously a UK Conservative pledge, and that would be a thing that the Welsh Conservatives could say to their voters. Look, we've actually reformer, not serious, Plaid, not serious. Look, we've actually done something serious.
It's a Conservative policy in the sort of like 10 years ago Conservatives. It's actually something that like, oh, okay, this is going to keep, the economy growing, all this kind of stuff. I do feel like when these kind of things with housing stuff happens, that money that was going to go to stamp duty will just get put onto house prices, right?
I'm actually speaking to someone later today because housing is inherently so complicated. But if you abolish stamp duty, that only helps people who've already got a house. It doesn't help first-time buyers because you don't pay stamp duty. You pay stamp duty when you sell your house. So actually, all it will do is make it like it'll just be a boost for people who've already got a property. But anyway, not talking about the merits of that policy, but it was interesting that the Tories were kind of trying to do something. And one of the indications I got we talk a lot about Tories en masse just going to reform, and that is overwhelmingly seems to be what's happened. But as I understand it, there was not an insignificant amount of some kind of old school Conservatives who actually voted Plaid, not because they've suddenly come around to Plaid, but because because if you're a Tory who hasn't gone to reform yet, there's a reason you haven't gone over to reform.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, half the party seem to have.
Yeah.
But I think there was some who were like, actually, I'm not. I really don't like Nigel Farage. I really don't like reform. I've seen them walking around my town, and that kind of old school, socially conservative person.
Well, I saw a clip on socials today. I think Politics Joe were like interviewing somebody, I think from Caerphilly actually, and he was just sort of talking about he was anti-immigration but would never vote reform because he doesn't trust Farage after Brexit was the clip, basically, like sort of washed his hands of it and things. So why were those voters going to Plaid when I suppose within England they would go to Lib Dems? Why are they not jumping to
Well, I don't
Welsh
think
Lib
they were going
Dems?
to Plaid because they supported Plaid. I think it was an anti-reform vote.
Right, okay, so that's such a powerful message then that even those who are on the right of Welsh politics are willing to go quite far left.
Well, yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think they were like, well, one of two parties are going to win.
Yeah.
This is the one I dislike least.
Sure, yeah.
But I also think it just showed I'll bang this drum till the day I die, but there is a space for a centre-right party in Wales that's sensible. Like, if you're, a traditional Labour voter who really doesn't want to ever vote Plaid, you're quite socially conservative. If you had a Conservative Party was anywhere near the centre, there's votes there to be won. There's a lot of I've got people I know who are a bit older. They've voted Conservative in the past, completely fell out of love with them over Boris, the parties, the buffoonery, the perceived incompetence.
The shit show.
Because what a lot of old school Tories like is just like sensibleness,
Common sense.
Yeah,
Right?
But as we say, Darren Miller, he's not seemingly pursuing that.
And is that just a lack of talent and lack of kind of, how we talk about sort of Labour getting complacent by being in government? Have the Welsh Tories just got complacent in being in opposition? They just assume that they're going to be they're going to get a decent...
an element of assuming they're going to be wiped out. Like, are they trying? It's really interesting. A couple of people who... Actually, over the weekend, funny enough, two separately over the weekend, but I think because Caerphilly was such big news, they are people in their 30s, never voted before, and we're both like, we don't know who to vote for because we never watch the news. We don't know anything about politics. Like, what should we know? And I was a bit like, there's a podcast. But
they asked you this.
Yeah. And I was like, thank you. But, I was speaking to one of them. She's a business owner. And she was like, I don't know who I'd vote for. And then I was like, okay, so what are your priorities going into this? What was it? And, everything that she was saying, I was like, she's a traditional Conservative voter. And I struggled to say to her, therefore you should vote Conservative, because I was like, on another time you would have been a Tory voter, but I found it difficult now to say that with a straight face, because how can I tell somebody to do that with a party that's not even trying?
Yeah.
There's no hope for them as it stands. You know?
Where do they go? It's that politically homeless thing, isn't it? I like the idea that those websites that you put in your concerns and they tell you who to vote for, like you're that.
Yeah,
we should send Mel around the streets.
That's just me.
Yeah. Pop it into the computer.
Tories. I don't think they'll change. They could be completely wiped out.
Yeah.
So they're gutted for Chris Philp, who's probably just learnt Darren Miller's name and has to learn a new name soon.
Do you reckon he just was like, there's been a lot of Davis. I bet I could just go for Davis. And he said he was like, Davis would be quite good. Maybe go for Davis. But
yeah. Speaking of Davis, when do we expect the RT defection?
Well, did I mention to you that I might have written part of a newsletter based on... I did a Boris. I basically wrote two newsletters.
Reform of one, yeah.
So one of the things I was kind of mulling over is what would have happened if Clear Powell had won and Reform had 2 MSs, because you need 3 MSs to form a political group in the Senedd. And as soon as you form a political group, you have to give yourself a leader. And that leader gets a £15,000 pay bump, plus I think almost £2,000, £1,700 for every member you've got. So he'd have been on top of his high 70s K salary, he'd have been on for another kind of 18K. Not bad. And so I think there would have been a huge onus on Reform to try and get someone to defect, to make it that 3 MSs.
That would have been like a good bachelor reality show. Them trying to woo one person.
Who do we think would be the next to go?
I won't betray any confidences, but I spoke to some quite senior Conservatives, and they were pretty sure that they didn't think anyone else was going at any point soon.
Really?
They're not going to get a Plaid person, are they?
Funny you should say that, actually, because we had a question in from Jamie Walker, and he's actually said, do we think there'll be any defections from other parties to Reform, or even Labour to Plaid?
Oh wow, that second question is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, Labour Caerphilly council leader resigns, basically saying because
he didn't defect to Plaid, but he said he encouraged people to vote Plaid, didn't he? I can't see any Tories that are going to go across. They're going to go across because I would suggest the Laura Ann Jones model, because they think it's more likely that they get elected next. So they would need some cast iron guarantees that they're going to be near the top of a list. That creates a lot of division within Reform, because if some kind of former Tory comes in and takes the spot you thought you were going to have, you're not going to be happy. In terms of Labour to Plaid, 50% of Labour members in Wales support Welsh independence. Like members, not voters, members. Or kind of open to the idea of Welsh independence. I wouldn't want to predict names. The desire to keep a very good salary is probably quite strong. There'll be people within Labour who I think are really like the Welsh Labour. I know we've had a conversation about not saying stuff like that, but the Welsh Labour will be really frustrated at the direction Starmer's taken the party. I don't know. I also can't see Andrew R.T. Davis going. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. The reason is, he's going to go and he won't be leader. And going to another party to play second fiddle would be... I don't know how palatable he'd find that.
Interesting.
But then while he stands for the Tories again, because I don't know. My prediction at the moment would be that Andrew R.T. Davis would win again.
Yeah.
I think he would win again, regardless of where...
He'd be in the top 6 in his...
Yeah.
Well, what is his constituency merging into?
Penabon Bromagannog?
Oh, with Bridgendon. The Vale and Bridgend.
Yeah.
So, let's assume he wins again, which would be my prediction.
Yeah.
If he goes to reform, he gets to have some attention. Which, I'm not saying this as a comedian. He enjoys.
Yeah,
I'm not going to judge it.
Yeah.
He enjoys attention.
Opposition.
Yeah, exactly. He could actually be relevant. In the Conservatives, he can muck around on X all day.
I was going to say the Xbox. In a gaming chair.
Yeah, do a bit of FIFA, But do you know, and he enjoys that. He enjoys not having to be managed. He can tweet about things none of us are really sure about.
I mean, there's a chance if he gets elected, he might be the only Tory, so he might be their leader again.
There you go.
All roads tell Chris Philp. He's back, baby. It's Andrew, bitch.
I think we need to move on because there's something you mentioned, Mel, that we wanted to have a look at.
So I don't know if you've seen this clip of Janet Finch-Saunders. Speaking of the Welsh Conservatives, they haven't had this much coverage in a while from us, actually. Janet Finch-Saunders, your friend, Will. Janet Finch-Saunders was in the chamber this week, and some people are taking the mick out of her for a joke not landing particularly well, right? Okay, so I'm just going to play you the clip.
See off, ploughing. Hold on tight. What I'm about to say could derail you. Thank you, and well done.
And then it's just silence, basically. No one really goes
How
for
did she mean, derail you?
Because she's talking about rail.
Oh, for fuck's
sake.
Okay. At least she didn't read out the phrase pause for laughter.
Yeah.
Big finish here.
I mean, firstly, felt for her because... I don't want to speak for you. I've been there. When I'm like, this is gonna kill.
Yeah.
And then I go out with it to shaking heads. And I'm like, never mind.
With that joke as well. I've tried that so many times.
It didn't work for Rob, Johnny. Don't you try it, okay? But I think whilst I was also cringing massively, it also made me think, are we expecting too much of our politicians to be charismatic and have good comedic timing and be good people and good legislators and be good on socials? We did, we've taken the mick out of people's socials before, and there's a little bit of me that is they're giving it a go.
Yeah.
But then Will does not agree at all. But my point is, they can't be good at everything.
I agree with this. And I think across society, you're not going to get someone working as an accountant who is both a brilliant laugh in the office, amazing at their job, all of these things, right? But this is why teams are important.
Yeah,
right?
They can't all be Barack Obama.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Borat. They can't all be him,
Borat. Speaking of charisma.
I agree with you. I think we do have a very high expectation, but also I think a lot of the people who go into it are probably quite keen to. They have a level of confidence where they're like, I'm going to be in front of the camera. They want to have FaceTime, right? They want to be in front of stuff.
Yeah.
Some people, would it be lovely to have just a really boring set of politicians who just get the job done and the country runs well?
But then we'd be like, yeah, but they're not on TikTok talking to young people. And do you know what I mean? If we had that.
But the young people could buy a house.
Yeah, okay, no, that's fair enough. Yeah, what do you think?
I'm very conscious in my reporting that politicians are human beings, and in the main, they're doing the best. Doesn't mean it's very good. And there's some very talented politicians out there. There's some dross. There's some people that have totally checked out ahead of the election. And there's some people that really, really care and aren't good at everything, but they are good at certain things.
That's quite a good broad demographic of an office then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some people are just live for the weekends.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem that we have as the UK and many, many parts of the world is that we talk about authenticity, and I think straightforward and honest talking and acknowledgement of what genuine challenges are. I think across the board, we just don't do it. I think everything is so attempted, choreographed. Everything is so kind of... I was going to say stage managed, but obviously Janet Finch-Saunders wasn't stage managed. She also was the same woman who at the Tory conference said isn't it a disgrace that we're importing coal? And I'm like, do you know, close the mines, Janet? Jesus Christ.
Self-awareness isn't one of the big strengths.
No, it's not. I think ultimately what you want from a politician, and it's the same I'd say for any journalist as well, is be yourself. Like, if you are someone who is very fiery and passionate, that's what you should put forward. If you're someone who's very analytical and focused on details, do that. Hire good people to help mitigate your weaknesses and highlight your strengths. But I think the lack of kind of feeling of genuine authenticity in political communication allows people like Farage to feel like feel genuine.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Boris did well, was people felt like they knew him. I tend to suggest that a lot of his persona was just that. It was a manufactured persona. Because everyone else felt so robotic, it meant that these guys feel like real people. It's a bad example because it's just, some of the stuff I hear said in the Senate, it's just embarrassing. It's so bad. And part of me feels sorry for them. If you highlight every single thing I do as a journalist, some of it's crap. Like, some of the things I put out aren't very good. Some of I'm not always on my A game, so I'm loath just to criticise people for not being great at everything.
Sure, but I think we mentioned their salary earlier, nearly 80k. Put the fucking work in, mate. Like, the average salary in the UK is what, 25,000 pounds?
When you're a backbench, not even in the governing party, come on.
Join a committee.
Yeah.
Start talking about fucking child poverty. Start talking about issues that are actually going to impact people's lives.
And also, I think there is something, if you as a person think, I should lead, I should represent my community like that. To me, there's something wrong with somebody who thinks that, to be honest with you. And I think that's why we're never going to get the right people as politicians, because anybody who thinks that shouldn't be a politician. This is just generally my opinion, and there's no way there could definitely be law, but I don't think anybody under 30 should ever stand for office, because I'm how could you lead a community with such little life advice? I look at some of the decisions I made 2 years ago, I think, what a knob. Do you know what I mean? If I was representing a constituency, there's no way. But that's just my opinion, and that's superfluous. But I do think anybody who feels I'm good enough to represent everybody where I live, there kind of is an expectation on them to be pretty fucking good at what they do.
There is an inherent hubris with running for office. What you're doing when you stand for office is you say, I am the best placed person in the world to manage your health service, your education, your transport, your children's future, your pensions, how are you going to retire, all of this stuff. Nobody is better placed than me. Put your faith in me. And my God, I worry if my neighbours ask me to water their plants when they're on holiday. The level of self-assurance you need to do that. And there are some very, very principled politicians. And there are a lot of politicians who have just got absolutely bulletproof sense of self-worth, contrary to all the evidence.
Yeah.
It's tough being a politician and putting yourself out there. I think that some politicians in Wales absolutely don't know they are born when it comes to actual scrutiny.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And that's why they dislike you so gravely.
There's other reasons.
Do you want to finish on a very mushy, nice listener comment?
Yeah.
Nice. Good idea.
Okay, so this comes from Philip. And not Philip.
Not
Philip.
Philip.
He's put the work in.
You're a good man.
That man's got vowels.
I just listened to a recent episode and just wanted to send my praises for yours podcast. I listen, or at least subscribe, to several political podcasts, both UK and US centred. There are weeks when I look at them in my queue, look at the subjects in the title, and just erase most without listening. But I never do that with you. For a few reasons. But number one, not to focus on the sex of it all, but I'm afraid to say you're one of the few political podcasts that isn't all men. Thank you so much. It's just insane.
You're doing a lot of heavy lifting there now.
Thank you. It's just insane at this point to have a 3-person podcast and it's all gents. And yet, number two, other podcasts featured hosts of either former political advisors / elected members, and I'm afraid they just sound so set in their opinions when they listen and I switch off as they fight their old battles. I don't want it to be an age thing, but I think it helps that none of you have a particular dog in the fight. I mean, Mel isn't exactly dining out on former Tory staffer, haha. So thanks for being a great podcast to listen to, and sorry for the novel.
That's very sweet.
Thank you, Philip. And do not apologise for the novel. I mean, keep going. You know, that was what a lovely comment.
That is nice. And it's nice. I know the podcasts that you delete, and thank you for deleting them. Keep deleting them. I know the ones you were talking about.
Keep going. Snip, snip.
Get rid. I'll tell you some gossip about them. No, I've got no gossip.
What a wonderful comment. I mean, we're trying. We're out here trying. We're following a path. Is that the phrase?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, well, I've said it now. We're following a path. We're trying our best, and we really just want to keep doing as much as we can up until the election. This is what we set out to do. I mean, over a year ago. Can you remember? Over a year.
It is over a year.
Over a year, and we've grown and we've developed, and we're trying new things, and we're going for it.
Yeah, I love doing it.
Yeah.
I love meeting up with you guys once a week, and you, Daryl. And it's been really lovely, and I think, you know, our last one being the most listened to, it feels like we're going from strength to strength, and we appreciate all the lovely comments and all the lovely listens and views and things. It feels like everything's leading up to the election, and then, you know, there's a time and a place for this, right? And I think it's now.
It is now.
It's not often in like your professional life you get to hang out with your pals and talk about stuff that's interesting, and genuinely the listeners we get and the correspondence we get, like it really does, it's really exciting. It makes me feel like, oh, people have got some value in this, or like, and I think it perpetuates, like, people come and they find out a bit about Welsh politics, and then they talk to other people about it, and it spreads.
It does feel like we're sort of finding new people, or people are finding us week on week now. But also, considering how divisive politics can be and how divisive the internet is, a lot of fucking lovely.
Yeah,
isn't it? Like, overwhelmingly lovely.
We've got this lovely corner of the internet.
It's great.
And I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
I'm sometimes out of that corner.
We drag you back
Other parts of the internet
Yeah.
sometimes find me.
This is your nice hot bath, and then you go back
this
out
is your little
into
My cleanse.
into the tundra of hatred.
My bath bomb of love.
Yes, but thank you so much. And do you know what is testament to how many new listeners we've got? We won't answer this on this episode, but why people keep messaging to ask why we call Rhena Piorwerth the Rhenicorn. And because I think that was like an episode 3 thing.
Yeah, we need to have a little sort of a cheat sheet, right?
Yeah, a little refresh. But you know, or listen back,
or maybe buy the merch.
Oh,
That will explain everything. Maybe we should have one like a dictionary definition one. That's a nice idea.
That's a great idea. But no, thank you so much for the comment. Thank you to all the new listeners. Please stick around. There's a lot more to come before May.
Oh yeah.
Let's say goodbye, please, Will. Who are you?
My name's Will Hayward.
Anything to plug?
I am. That's actually, no, take that out.
No,
That's exactly what he's like in the studio.
I'm Will Hayward. I'm a journalist who covers Wales. You can subscribe to my newsletter, which is called the Will Hayward Newsletter.
Melanie?
I am Mel Owen. I am a comedian and a writer. And do you know what? Today is my 1-year bookiversary. So if you are a Welsh speaker, please go out and buy Oedolyn-ish. It's a collection of the mistakes I made before turning 30.
And I'm Robin Morgan. I'm also a stand-up comedian. I'm on tour. It starts in January, which is now really soon.
What's the name of the tour?
It's called Let's Overshare. It's really silly, and I'm really happy with the show. And it's going all over Wales and the UK, and you can get tickets on my website.
Cool. Big thanks to Heyman Media. They produce this podcast. We do it in their studios. They are just brilliant. If you've got a podcast that you want to get out there, you've got photos you want taking, you've got videos you want making and editing, get in touch with them. Heyman Media.
I've been Mel Owen.
I've been Robin Morgan.
I'm Will Hayward.
See you later.